Today is New Year's Eve, which would have been my parents' 60th anniversary. My mother also passed away 20 years ago on December 26th. So I am acutely aware of the loadedness of holidays and nostalgia, and grief and the weight of this season, when we're missing people that were our loved ones and connected to us. 18 years ago, I wrote a story about my mom's ending. And because of this 20th anniversary, I would like to share it with all of you because it offers some insight into what saying goodbye means, but also the hope that we can receive after. It's something that's been sustaining me for a long time, and I want to share it with you. This is called The Best Gift Ever. And I think it's important to share it because the story is rooted in Christmas and in faith and the hope that it holds for anyone who's carrying loss, especially during the holidays. On this channel, my objective is to talk honestly about death and also many of the non death losses that shape our lives. If you are looking for understanding and connection and do not want to be alone in your journey, I invite you to subscribe and join the conversations that we'll continue to have throughout the year. But if you have a few minutes, settle back, listen to the story that I shared with everyone 2 years after my mother's death to sort of shape the holidays and the hope that we find within them. It's called The Best Gift Ever. Christmas has always been a favorite holiday for my family, and my mom was the ringleader of all the excitement. Only now do I fully understand how much work goes into creating that kind of magic for a family. But oh, the joy that it brings. My mom loved Christmas, the gifts, the glitz, the tradition, the family, the friends, the sweets, the music, surprise, and most importantly, Jesus. When we were small, we were allowed to help set up the nativity scene. And because she believed in hands on learning, occasionally baby Jesus was carted off to another stable while the shepherds were not watching. But somehow, baby Jesus always found his way back to the manger. When I was old enough to understand the value of a dollar, my mom taught me about the intoxicating effects of shopping sales year round. The more red slashes through a price tag, the greater the need to have it. A retailer's purge became our shopping opportunity to binge, and that's how the gift closet was born. There was always something for someone for any occasion. As in many households, Christmas morning ended with wrapping paper covering the living room floor by 7 a.m. Photos were taken in pajamas with bed heads. Phone calls were made to relatives, and yet another pot of coffee was brewed for my parents after the late night tasks. The oranges from our stockings, which was a tradition, always turned into a fruit salad with marshmallows and bright red maraschino cherries. Then came a full day of playing with new toys and trying on new clothes. Hours after the early morning frenzy, my brother and I would be deeply engrossed when my mom would suddenly jump up and say, "Oh, I have one more thing." She would disappear to the gift closet or some other secret hiding place, returning moments later with another gift she had forgotten about, probably purchased in June. We always wondered what else had she wrapped and forgotten? What treasures had been tucked away out of sight? Unfortunately, 20 years ago, our long running sentimental joy of Christmas changed dramatically. My mom and our ringleader was fighting for her life and hoping to be here for one more Christmas, the holiday she loved so deeply. My mom's breast cancer, first diagnosed 14 years earlier, had returned for the third and final time. It had spread to her bones and her ribs and her spine and invaded her liver. We had September, and many of those days were spent in Madison at the University Hospital. Days filled with tests and trial and error pain management and the devastating news that she had only months to live. One evening, she was suddenly unresponsive while reading a card from a friend. She clutched the card very tightly, but was not present. It felt as if the barometer had just dropped. My brother and I were bouncing off the walls, wondering what was wrong. We thought she might die that night. And then she woke up out of this state, and in a lucid way she had not been for days. She said, I just had a conversation with God and I have some say in this. When I asked her what this was and when it would happen, she said it would be during the holidays. It was prophetic. We had October. She sat outside briefly on the lawn and helped the kids draw faces on their Halloween pumpkins. Her friends, who were truly angels in the making, built a 10-foot tall grapevine tree covered in 2,500 white lights that were woven through the grapevine, and it had a tall plume of prairie grass on top that danced in the breeze. The tree was visible from every angle in the house. Out the windows, when she rested, she would look at it. When visitors did not know what to say, the tree gave them something to talk about. When our thoughts were empty, it gave us something to stare at. Weeks later, during long, exhausted nights, my brother, dad, and I would prepare medication by the light cast from that tree into the bedroom. That tree kept the light burning for our aching hearts. We had November. My parents came home to my house that was 3 hours away for Thanksgiving. A hospital bed was placed in my den. Dinner was catered from the grocery store. Things were clearly different. My mom was so sick from the medication and in constant pain. I tried to engage her in decorating, something that she had always loved to do, hoping this could be a time to feel normal. She tried, but there was no stamina. We took a family photo in the decorated staircase. My brother, his family, and our parents. That photo captured us together for the last time, uncertain of what lay ahead. We had December, and it was unlike any December before. We were told that there were only weeks left, and the traditions of caramel corn and holiday parties and gift wrapping chaos faded into the background. Instead, there were visits and casseroles from friends, small gatherings of my parents' closest companions, and the precious gift of time that was slowly turning into moments. The gifts that season were not wrapped. They were gestures of love and grace and friendship and faith. The people who cared for us anticipated our needs when we could not articulate them. They carried us with prayers and food and laughter and memories. These gifts reflected the lives my parents had lived, generous, humble, and deeply connected to others. They were friends to everyone. Our small family of 4 had days alone together again for the first time in nearly 20 years. My mom loved having her 2 adult babies all to herself. What happened in those last days was sacred. We watched as my mom moved between this world and the next. She graciously allowed us to care for her and welcomed visitors on her journey toward grace. She knew that after a lifetime of giving, it mattered to let others give to her and to us. Giving makes people feel better, and she understood people so well. Our pastor visited us often and guided us when we did not know what to pray for. Friends and family knelt beside my mom's bed, reciting the Lord's Prayer out loud, and our voices trembled together. During one of those moments, my mom pinched her fingers together and placed them in my palm. And she said, "For you, a good Lord's wish." Later, she repeated the gesture. "Rings and pearls, don't lose them." The last gift she gave me was a candy bar. Ever since we were children, she joked that all she wanted at her funeral were white daisies and Snicker bars. Now I knew she was getting ready to leave us. Those of you who have cared for somebody at the end of life know the miracles and mysteries of dying. Our caregiver, Roxy, said, "Death is a miracle. It's God reclaiming you from your birth." We waited through many nights, sleeping on the floor like puppies and waking with every breath she took or didn't take. Hospice workers and friends marveled at her tenacity. She had been a fighting preemie at birth and now was a cancer fighter, determined to be here for Christmas. By God's grace and the prayers of others, I found the courage to say goodbye to my mom. I knew she wanted to be alone with my dad when she died. Christmas is about children, and I knew she wanted me to be with mine. Late in the evening on December 23rd, I kissed her goodbye and made a request. Blink the lights when you get to heaven. She lived for Christmas, all her life, and one more day. On December 26th, she died with my dad by her side and a radiant smile on her face, awed by what awaited her. After she died, I returned to my parents' home to make funeral arrangements, and all alone in her room, I spoke to her and blew a kiss towards that magical grapevine tree. Suddenly, one strand of lights at the bottom began blinking rapidly. I called for my dad. The lights blinked and paused and blinked again and again and again until they burned out. She kept her promise. The gift she left us was her faith, marked by a blinking, glowing exclamation point. And that, my friends, is the best gift ever. Her one more thing that is ours to share. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.